Obafemi postpones glory and chooses a match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Danhausen is haunting the Judgment Day as Liv Morgan prepares for Io Sky. Seth Rollins puts out a challenge that Roman Reigns accepts. All this and so much more. This is the Raw Recap on WWE Now, a WWE and Fanatics original production. Oh, Megan, we knew, and we talked about this actually going into Night of Champions. You and I had many a discussion about how so many of the matches had these ramifications that I don't think people even took into account, like the branch off effect that all the different results would have, and the fact that like we would roll right out of Night of Champions and be on this road to SummerSlam, a now 2-night stadium event that is bigger than it's ever been. Well, if anyone didn't believe that to be true, I think that Monday Night Raw proved that it indeed was.
Well, on a weekend just filled with so much wrestling, we didn't have any time to come down to earth and settle because already we're talking about massive SummerSlam matches that we got graphics for tonight.
There were multiple. Yeah, we have one graphic coming out of Night of Champions. One. But now, I mean, we're really. This card is really taking shape, and I want to start with something that did indeed produce a graphic. So building up to the King of the Ring and the finals and Obafemi beating Jey Uso at Night of Champions. So many scenarios were thrown around from all of us that opine. Could it be this one going after Oba, or Oba will go after that one? Would it be, on Monday Night Raw last week, Oba called out Roman Reigns to an extent, but then on SmackDown, he stared down Cody Rhodes.
And reminded us all of Saturday night's main event and thought, hey, I would love that match as well.
But then Cody Rhodes wasn't even the champion.
No, he wasn't.
Coming out of the Night of Champions PLE. So we get to Monday Night Raw, and Obafemi starts the show as the king. And he has his entrance, and Atlantic City goes absolutely wild.
As they should.
For Obafemi. And he walks out there and he's holding his crown as king. And he says that...
And that's a pretty big crown, but Oba's hands are just so massive.
That's the thing. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, except his head was already super heavy.
Exactly.
He's a big guy, this Obafemi. Luckily, he's got those big shoulders, that big neck. It all maintains itself. So he's got that crown, and he says, that was a reception befitting of a ruler, but now a reception befitting of a king. And you're just like, yeah, dude, I mean, Obafemi at this point can really do no wrong.
That's true.
You look at him and a lot of times there are a lot of superstars that have struggled with the idea that it is very clear that the WWE looks at this star as a marquee talent that is going to be a star for the next several years. John Cena had a tough time when fans said, we figured out that WWE wants him to be a star for the next 15 years.
Think back to Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns had a tough time when fans said that. I mean, the powers that be were literally doing media leading up to Night of Champions, telling you straight up Obafemi's going to be a massive star in this industry for the next 15 plus years. And there is nothing about seeing Obafemi that doesn't just scream that is true.
This is one that everybody is on board with because Oba is completely undeniable in every single thing that he's done.
Yeah, and when he starts talking about destiny, I feel like he's not defined by destiny. Destiny is defined by him.
Yes.
The world is at his fingertips. And just as he's about to get into it, because we left Night of Champions without knowing which champion Obafemi was going to face.
And we knew that tonight
SummerSlam.
Obafemi had a decision to make.
Right.
Just as he's about to get into the decision.
And then, boom, the Beast's music plays. Brock Lesnar shows up on Monday Night Raw. And I mean, the fact that like Brock is just in the habit of showing up unannounced. I mean, Brock is one of these guys that you put on the poster. Brock is one of these guys leading up to WrestleMania that you announce the dates that Brock Lesnar is going to be on the show. But that's not the way Brock always likes to do business.
Not right now.
Sometimes Brock just likes to show up.
And Brock, he can do that.
Of course he
Because
can.
who's going to stop Brock Lesnar?
Zero individuals.
And he has just confidence about him when he returns. This smirk, this smile on his face. And I love when Paul Heyman comes out alongside Brock Lesnar, because in an instant you forget that just a couple weeks ago he ate a spear through the barricade in Italy.
There is something about Brock Lesnar that sprinkles that pixie dust onto Paul Heyman. The Paul Heyman is at full power.
Yes.
And it might not be, I mean, even with the bloodline, Paul Heyman, there's just something, especially you look at it now, and it's like Paul Heyman at full power is Paul Heyman positioned next to Brock Lesnar, and it reads on his face. There's just something about that partnership between the two of them. And look at Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar walking into Atlantic City, just realizing that he still, every building that he walks into, he absolutely owns. That he is looking at a spot where everybody is staring at this specimen, Obafemi, with their jaws on the ground, and Brock Lesnar, with just a stare of absolute intensity, eats the camera lens alive and lets you know that it doesn't matter what superstar it is. That every room that Brock Lesnar walks into that has a wrestling ring in it is his room.
It doesn't matter that he's a ruler. It doesn't matter that he's a king.
No.
It doesn't matter that he's choosing the world champion to face at SummerSlam. A new beast has arrived, and he has completely captivated our entire attention.
And Paul Heyman is walking around like, it's almost like when you have the partner that everybody in the room wants, and you know that partner has chosen you and only you. You're the only one they have eyes for. Paul Heyman being able to be there with Brock Lesnar and knowing that Brock Lesnar not only can pick and choose who he spends his time with, but takes joy in not spending time with almost anybody, has chosen Paul Heyman as the ultimate ally. I mean, this is a gift for somebody like Paul Heyman that I think Paul Heyman wakes up grateful for every day.
Of course he does. He's got an extra pep in his step when he's walking. And to your point about when Paul Heyman was alongside the Bloodline, when he was alongside the Vision when Seth Rollins was in charge, Paul was taking orders from people. When he's with Brock, this is Paul Heyman at his ultimate power. And then to your other point about being with the person that's the best in the room.
The belle of the ball.
The belle of the ball chose you.
The belle of the ball, Brock Lesnar. That's a t-shirt.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you typically, when you think belle of the ball, you wouldn't immediately jump to Brock Lesnar, but the way that you laid it out and described it,
Context matters.
I'm in.
All right, good.
Completely in.
Brock Lesnar, and I love when Brock Lesnar grabs a microphone. I love when Brock Lesnar starts feeling froggy and decides he's going to jump. I love when Brock Lesnar grabs a microphone these days.
Because he doesn't have to talk.
No, he's got a guy to talk for me.
course.
He even said, I heard your promos have been really good. I can't cut a promo. That's why I got Paul Heyman here.
And Paul Heyman's yelling in the background, good promo.
Good promo. He's coaching him. That's what you need. I wish I had somebody like that.
Gotta have a coach, hype man.
I got one of the guys in the control room. They're in my ear the whole show going like,
Great job,
You're
Sam.
doing great, Sam. That's a good podcast
Good
you're
job.
doing right now. This is a good one. Yeah. They're going crazy for it right now.
They don't do that in my ear.
Well, I mean, they will at some point it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So Brock Lesnar straight up is not not Sam Rule follower. We all know one of the rules is watch the product. Brock says he doesn't watch the product. So he's saying he has no idea what Obafemi's been doing. He said, I heard you won the King of the Ring. That's great.
I love he goes, everybody knows I don't watch the pro.
I don't watch the show, he said. Everybody knows I don't watch the show. And here's the thing about Brock. I believe him.
I do too.
I don't think he watches the show.
I don't think at all.
I don't think he's at home going like, ooh, Monday. You know what that means.
Let me check in.
I don't even know if he has a Netflix subscription.
Definitely not.
Probably not.
What, Saskatchewan?
Yeah. I don't know if he's got
to do up
internet.
there.
He's busy hunting animals and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not gonna try to figure out his life for him. He's got it figured out clearly. So he says, I don't watch the show. I don't know what's been going on. Congratulations on the King of the Ring. You won it. I only know because you're holding the crown. I didn't see it. I don't watch.
At one point, I was King of the Ring.
He said, many years ago, I won King of the Ring too. So I know, congratulations. But he said that I heard, since I don't watch the show, Paul's got to tell me what's going on. And Paul said that when I'm not around, you like to call me names. Paul said that when I'm not around, you call me a coward. He said that you call me, and then he said the B word.
He said a B.
The female dog B.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, well, you know what they say?
Talk.
You know what?
Get
hit. And I mean, winds up and kicks the King of the Ring directly in the gonads. The low blow of all low blows. Football to the groin. And Obafemi keels over, at which point Brock picks him up, F5s him, and then exits. And his music playing, and he's almost laughing. Like he just showed up to send a message, right? Like he's giggling about it.
And Paul's yelling, that was a great promo.
Great promo.
That was a great promo.
Great promo.
He did have a pretty good go home line, right?
What was the go home? I mean, the F5?
Talk, you know.
Oh,
what.
yeah. I
Get
was
hit.
about to say, yeah, between that and a literal F5.
I mean, it rhymes. Then you have the low blow.
It's pretty
It
great.
really was a well-executed promo. You can't argue with Paul Heyman on that.
No, Paul Heyman was right on the money, but that wasn't the end. And he really did. He was just laughing to himself. I love the idea that Brock Lesnar showed up to Atlantic City knowing that, okay, Obafemi's been running his mouth. So I'm going to show up, and on a day that's very important to him, I'm just going to show up and embarrass him, and then I'm going to leave.
I'm just going to show up, his first segment, kick him in the nuts, F5 him, and then leave.
And then that way, and I mean, listen, and then from Obafemi's perspective, you got to imagine. Imagine if like Brock Lesnar just leaves and Obafemi just has to go, well, as I was saying, I'd like to pick my champion now. That's tough. That's a tough position for King of the Ring Obafemi to be in, especially because I believe that even after Obafemi won the entire King of the Ring tournament with no questions to be asked, it is haunting Obafemi that he lost to Brock Lesnar.
Of course it is.
It is haunting Obafemi that there's one guy since his main roster debut that has a W over the ruler, and it's Brock Lesnar.
He took 7 F5s
7.
for Brock in that match.
Yes.
I think he probably has a nightmare of at least one F5 every single night.
I would imagine too. But I would imagine it's not so much the physicality of it. It's
like the
pride.
disappointment, right?
Right.
Yes, that he lost to
Right.
Brock Lesnar after beating him at WrestleMania.
And that's why he gets up before Brock Lesnar is left. And he says,
It's grasping the reality, right? That Obafemi, this ruler, lost to Brock Lesnar.
And he gets up and he goes, "This is my shot." And he tells Brock Lesnar, "I'll say it right to your face." And he drops these coward words and these B words on Brock Lesnar right to his face. And then he says, "I challenge you to a match at SummerSlam."
And we're all going, what? He's
What?
supposed to face a world champion at SummerSlam.
This is massive. This is massive because you're looking at the psychology of what all happened. And what all happened was Brock found out that there was some guy that was talking stuff about him while he wasn't there. And so he went to that guy's biggest career moment that he's had on the main roster so far and took that moment to embarrass him. Just to send a message, because Brock Lesnar is the type of guy that won't allow one person to do that. Because if one person does it, the next person does it, and the next person does it. He's going to stop it right there. That was Brock Lesnar's motivation. Now, Obafemi, who is not only haunted by that loss, has been embarrassed on his day. So he says, enough. I understand I'm entitled to an opportunity for the World Championship or the WWE Undisputed Championship. But as he said backstage to Adam Pearce, I know I will get another opportunity at the championship. And there is no doubt in anybody's mind. Like, nobody looks at SummerSlam and go, well, this is the one time Obafemi's ever going to get a championship match.
No one's looking at this and saying Oba's blowing it.
Right.
Oba's throwing away an opportunity. Nobody's looking at that. But also, Brock put Oba in a situation here where he came to his night on Monday Night Raw to embarrass him, puts Oba in a situation where Oba had to challenge Brock at SummerSlam.
He should have, and he did the right thing. Challenged him at SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar decided to up the ante.
Which is crazy.
And put the match in a Brock Lesnar specialty, which is the Hell in a Cell. I don't believe that Brock Lesnar has ever lost a Hell in a Cell. I don't believe that Obafemi has ever competed in a Hell in a Cell. So the idea that we get this, the graphic is made, it is official. The Obafemi, instead of wrestling a champion at SummerSlam, is wrestling Brock Lesnar in a rubber match inside the Hell in a Cell. And if I'm not mistaken, Megan, this is huge. Speaking of champions, we have a special guest on the Raw recap. We didn't know if this was going to happen. We didn't know if he was going to be able to join us. That's why I didn't mention it in the cold open. But ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Raw recap, the new WWE Undisputed Champion, Sami Zayn. Megan, you know what I always say. I can't stop saying it. Whether you're representing your favorite superstar, reliving an unforgettable premium live event, or you're looking for a fresh way to show your WWE pride, it's always ProSphere. ProSphere are the ones that have you covered. That's why I got that Danhausen shirt behind me. That's why I don't get blown up in the face with those briefcases by Danhausen, because I got this beautiful Danhausen ProSphere shirt on display all the time.
And that's exactly why I have my ProSphere DX Suck It jersey.
Whoa.
No better way to celebrate the summer.
What kind of jersey?
Suck It.
Whoa.
By ProSphere.
I was wondering how you always end up standing out in the crowd. I was wondering. It's ProSphere.
That's it.
You got to check out their whole lineup of authentic jersey-inspired styles, tees, hoodies, and more, with options available for adults and for youths. Men, women, children, the whole family can gear up and represent their favorite WWE stars. For me, it's Danhausen. For Megan, brown nose, it's Triple H.
Come on. I know who's the boss.
I don't mind it. Don't settle for ordinary fan gear. Make a statement with ProSphere. Head over to Fanatics and check out the full collection today. ProSphere on Fanatics, gear designed for fans who live the WWE universe. And we thank you for joining us. How good does it feel, Sami Zayn, to be announced as the undisputed WWE champion?
You know, I'm still processing it a lot, believe it or not. It's kind of hard to fully take in, but I guess if I had to answer in one word, it feels just great. It really does. It feels like the weight of the world's off my shoulder. I think anyone who's paid attention has seen that I kind of drove myself to the edge of sanity a little bit there for a while, just by putting so much pressure on myself to win this thing. And you know, it's here, and I feel like I can just breathe. Feels great.
How important is it, too, that of the two championships, the WWE Undisputed Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship, that it happens to be that one that's on your shoulder? I mean, a lot of us were there, years ago in 2023 when we thought that might be the moment. And then there was this reality that sunk in that it was like, oh no, what if that was it? What if that's as close as we're ever going to get with Sami Zayn? For you to all these years later be back and to have that title, is there a special significance?
I mean, 100%, but I'll be honest, like, I didn't lose the faith, and I certainly didn't lose the faith after the match in Montreal. I thought, well, that I'm not going to say it was a it was a heartbreaker, no doubt. Okay. But I thought, this is the closest I've come, so I'll just get closer and closer till I get there. The one that really did my head in a little bit was coming up short against Drew this past January at the Royal Rumble. Because after that one, that's when I was already starting to feel, I felt like maybe I had missed my window. And I couldn't give up faith, but it was the first time my faith was shook. It was, if I'm being totally honest, I knew I had the talent. I knew I had everything. I knew I was just as good as any of these guys, Drew, Roman, Cody, Seth. And the proof is you've seen me mix it up in the ring with all of them. You've seen my body of work. There's no question in my mind that, these are my peers. And that's almost what made it more maddening is why them and why not me? Why is it so close and I just can't get my hands on it? And after losing at the Rumble, that's where I think you saw me kind of losing it or crashing out backstage over the months. It's because I think what was happening was maybe the realization was going on deep down that maybe I'd missed that window. And I was starting to see the sea change with Trick, and the fans getting behind Trick, and they were it kind of moved on from my story. And they were into Oba and Javon and Braun Breaker. And there was like this idea that, oh my God, it's like their window is opening. And I think mine might have closed. And I'm only saying this now. I'm only kind of realizing it now that this is actually on my shoulders. But I think that's a big reason why I was slipping, I was slipping. But I'm really proud of myself for never changing, for staying true to my guns. And I think the biggest thing is the way I won it. That's a really big deal to me. I didn't cheat. I didn't, knock out a referee. There was nothing nefarious about it. I rolled him up with the wrestling hold and I won in the middle of the ring. Just like I said 10 years ago when I said, I'm going to win this the right way. And I did. And so I'm immensely proud of myself for that.
Yeah, and you also pinned the champion in a triple threat, which is, again, one of those little things that you can do where, like, you win, but you don't really win. You got the little loophole here. Right. Did you?
Yeah. And look, I know Cody and my friendship has kind of fractured a little bit over the last few months as well. And maybe I'm, partially to blame for some of that, but he is still Cody Rhodes. And, I call him the golden boy, and I know that kind of maybe rubs him the wrong way, but to me, that's a huge honor to be the golden boy, the chosen one, the guy who's QB1. He's the guy. He's the guy to beat. He's the guy who the entire company is kind of hitched to his wagon. So for him to be the one that I beat, and, I won't lie, there were some personal reasons that made it extra satisfactory, and we don't need to get all into that now. But the fact that it was Cody Rhodes, that I pinned, there is some poetry there. There is. And, maybe we can explore that more one day. I don't think now's the time for it, but it was special. It was special to beat him.
Well, when you talk about poetry too, it's like, I think that there's something so unique about this moment and this version of you, the last real good guy, being the one who got the WWE championship, because even though and I'm sure it was very special winning it in Riyadh where you had the entire audience on your side and you got that ovation and you got that moment. But the reality is that in 2023, maybe even in 2024, it felt like no matter where you were, the fans were on your side. And it feels like now, in a very real way, you've become a polarizing figure with a lot of fans. And there are a lot more fans now, I think, that were casting that doubt on you. For you to be kind of telling that same story of this guy who, just like you said, since 2023, I keep trying. But then not only feeling like new wrestlers coming in and the Trick Williams of the world coming in and going like, ooh, maybe this new wave is here, but feeling that fans are starting to kind of lose that sort of Sammy's our guy spirit. Is that something that affected you here?
100%. And I think I really only pieced it together now once the weight of the world came off my shoulders and was replaced with the weight of this championship gold. That's when I kind of realized how damaging that last loss at the Rumble was, because I realized, oh no, I burnt this card. I can't play this hand again. The Cinderella story of the underdog who finally wins the big one, it's been played now. I had it in Montreal. I had it here in Riyadh. You can't ask them to come along a third time at that point. Because even in reality, it was actually like the 9th or 10th time at that point. But, that story really getting to marinate and really being the crux of the story and the focal point of the story going into the match, I'm like, you can't tell that story again because, they just won't buy it again. They've already been on board, and they already, you can only ask them to come on the train for so long. And that's why, I mean what I say when I'm talking about the ride or dies, because for as much as, I like to pretend that it didn't bother me at all, some of the fans turning their backs or getting fed up with me or my story or whatever, it hurt. And the fans that didn't jump off, like, that means a lot to me. The ride or die fans that stayed, it means a lot to me. And there's a part of me that, my feelings are or were very hurt by these fans that are turning their backs on me. But at the same time, part of me kind of understood it, because it's like, how many times can I ask them to stay and come up short? But that didn't make, that's when I really think about it. That's when I access what I call higher plane Sammy, when I, think on a more deeper and spiritual level. But on the surface, I'm just like anyone else. I get my feelings hurt when I devote my entire life to trying to win for these people. And then half of them are jumping off board and going like, oh, we're done. Like, that hurts, man. That hurts. That really hurts. Cause I gave, I have my whole thing is my connection with the fans. Like, some people, their thing is this or that, or they're cool, or they're, whatever, counterculture, or everybody's got their little thing. My thing was the fans and the connection with the fans. So to lose half of them or whatever, man, I don't know. I like to pretend I don't care, and I like to pretend like, oh, go ahead, boo if you want to boo. Think I care? I got my ride or dies. But man, I can't sit here and pretend it doesn't hurt. But it hurts a little less now that I got this,
Sammy, in the moment that you pinned Cody Rhodes and became the undisputed WWE champion, shortly after, you had an interview with Byron Saxton, and all of us who were sitting watching you, we were thinking back, to the moment that Sami Zayn signed with WWE, to the moment when Sami Zayn became NXT champion, to your WrestleMania match with Johnny Knoxville, to when you were fighting WWE conspiracies, to Montreal, to the honorary use, like, all of these moments just came rushing back that we got to share with you. But when you won the title, what moments were you thinking about?
I don't think I was thinking about anything too specific. I was like, over what, it's a really strange thing. And I could give you a long-winded answer about what you feel when you reach a goal like that. And it's very complicated. It's not at all what you think it is. Like, I watched the guys win the Stanley Cup, and they're just like, yeah. They're just all smiles, and they're just jumping up, and it's like pure elation. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what it'll be like. And it wasn't like that at all. Like, you get hit with sadness and gratitude and happy. You get hit with like a million things. And there's so much that your brain can't process it all. So it almost like shuts down for a second, and then none of it feels real. And then it comes in like these waves of different emotions. So it's so complicated, I can't begin to totally explain it. But there wasn't a single moment that came to mind. For me, it was more of the big picture thing. Like, when you start saying about all those iterations of me since I put pen to paper with WWE, I just think to myself, man, what a great career. And I did make myself a little sick with the pressure I put myself to win this. But I was always saying, even if I never won it, what a career I've had. There are people who've won the championship multiple times. And if I may be so arrogant as to say, I still think a lot of them still didn't have the career I had, in terms of these things that are just these chapters that were so memorable, or that touched people, or that, I don't know, they're just like special, and they were good. It's not all about the championship. It's not. Although it kind of is too.
Now it is. Now it is.
Now,
it can be
now.
now.
Now. But I had to be okay with the fact that, look, there are champions. There are multiple time world champions who never got to tell a story like the Bloodline story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that never got to, even with a championship, without championship, they never got to touch people in that kind of way, and to like rock the foundation of the business like that. Like, that was a really special thing. And I'm just picking one. I think my time at NXT was also incredibly special, like building a brand, you know what I mean? And being a huge part of that. And just this, like, I don't know, I've done a lot of great things. I'm really, really, really proud of all of it. And then when you start putting it all together, you're like, wow, just wow. I'm just floored. But it's not an arrogant thing. It's like a gratitude thing. I'm like, man, I can't believe I had this career, and it ended with it. And it didn't even end. Right. But I got here. It's not even over, but it's like I did it. I can't believe it. I did all that great stuff and I still did this too. Wow.
I love the way that you frame that, Megan, that you frame that question, because it is true. And I feel like if you track your career in WWE, it's full maybe more than anybody else of moments that were never guaranteed and just as easily could not have happened. I don't think people really remember when you were signed to NXT that guys like you, the independent guys of the world, were not really getting signed to WWE. The WWE wasn't looking at independent wrestlers, and those were kind of this other thing over here, and that you were one of the people that opened that door. I think about you coming to the main roster and having that match with John Cena, except you blew out your shoulder in the entrance and like you weren't able to capitalize on it. You know what I mean? And that could have been the step back. I think of all these things, and the WrestleMania match like you just brought up with Johnny Knoxville, which for a lot of people would have been like, oh man, I got to do this celebrity match, but you guys bring the house down. And then you go into the bloodline and you look at the reality, and this struck me as, somebody who was a unashamed, super fan of the bloodline story. The fact that you look at the landscape of WWE in 2026, in this moment, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn are the two top champions.
Yeah, that's not lost on me,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's wild, man.
Well, there's that. And you're bringing up something interesting. And it's become very cliche to say like, this was my dream. The WWE Championship, the WrestleMania main events, the Grand Slam, all of that. This was my dream. But if I'm being totally honest, you can't even say that it's a dream, because I almost look like dreams as like they're almost goals that you can work to and attain. I would say they were more like fantasies in that I couldn't even dream of them because they were unfathomable. When I was breaking into wrestling, the people that looked like me, it did not exist in the wrestling business. So I can't even pretend to say like, yeah, I'll get there. It didn't exist. It wasn't a possibility. Winning just if I just made it to WWE, I swear, I kid you not. At one point, I remember when I was starting, I said to myself, if I just set my foot in a WWE ring, then I'll have lived the dream. I'll have done it. That was the extent of like my goal. Of course, there was this other stuff, but it was so fantastical. It was so like unfathomable that I don't even say dream. I say fantasy. It's beyond reality. It was not something that was like an available option to even dream about, to even put yourself in those shoes. That's how unattainable it seemed. So to come here and do what I've done, like just from a achievement perspective, is absolutely mind-boggling. But for me, when Megan, when you asked that question, for me, when I think of the common thread of some of those things, like the Knoxville match, the NXT time, the match with Nakamura, the story with Kevin, the story with the Bloodline, all that stuff. I swear, I don't know when I got this thought, but I just thought, man, these stories are also, first of all, the range is pretty significant between a lot of them, but they're just so not like wrestling stories I grew up watching, because I'm really not a character like the characters I grew up watching. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking of this when I did the promo or like some interview or something with Cody. You're talking about like, you're my friend and my feelings are hurt and stuff like that. And it just doesn't sound like what you heard wrestlers and WWE superstars of the past say, but like it's real and it's honest and everybody can hang their hat. And there's like a vulnerability or a sensibility and a sensitivity like mixed with that aggression. And because I can, still have those matches and back it up and turn it up when it's time to turn it up. But there's just like a depth of texture and emotion to some of these stories that I think like, I hope, and maybe I'm just, maybe I'm blowing my own head up bigger than it needs to be right now. But I feel like when it's all said and done, and if and when my career is ever looked back upon, I think only later will you start to see like, man, there was quite a, this really ran the gambit here. Like it really, there was a lot of range here and there was a lot of complexity here. And you never really get to take it all in because it's always moving from one thing to the next. But when I actually stop and think about it, and trust me, winning the WWE Championship will make you stop and think about it at some point. So, once I won it, I got to stop and think about the ride, and I'm just like, man, the highs, the lows, and the quality of these stories and the quality of these matches, like what a distinct and unique kind of career. I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's remarkable. It's remarkable, and it's because these are relatable, personal stories, and they're based in relationships, and they feel real. We just watched Monday Night Raw. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar was made official for SummerSlam. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Roman accepted Seth Rollins' challenge. Are you when Obafemi shows up and goes, I challenge you, Brock Lesnar. Do you wipe the sweat off your brow a little bit? It's not Sammy and Oba at SummerSlam?
I'll be honest. This is not to say I'm looking past Oba whatsoever. Trust me. But my head was more wrapped up in just like, hey, can I not get a minute? Like, can I just get a second here? 10 plus years chasing this. Can I have just one moment? But no, of course, you have to rise to the occasion. I don't care who the challenger is. I don't care if it's Brock. I don't care if it's Roman. I don't care if it's Oba. Like, I've been in the ring with monsters. I'm not saying it would be a cakewalk, but I'm not going to back down either. I'm not like, I'm really, I don't mean to sound like bravado here. I'm not trying to make myself seem more courageous than I am. He is very imposing. There's no doubt, but I don't care who it is. That's the thing about being WWE champion. Like, you kind of have to, you got to. Was I a little relieved? Like, maybe, yeah, sure, sure. But like whoever, that's got to be part of it. It's part of the game. That's what you want.
Yeah.
To be a fighting champion.
Which is
right?
why I don't understand why Cody gets so bent out of shape when I'm like, Golden Boy. Like, that's what you want. That's what you want. That's what you want. And now it's mine. So like, I live up to that in the same respect. Like any and all comers, yeah, I can't back down. No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to.
We would love
to
keep
see
Oprah going off with Brock. That's nice.
We would love to keep you all night, but you got that fancy convertible you got to get back
You do.
to ride on home with that WWE championship in the passenger seat, cruising together. Sammy, really sincerely, congratulations. This is such as somebody who has followed you from far before WWE, it is so
Crazy.
Cool to see it happen. Congratulations, man.
Congrats, Sammy.
What a moment.
I dare say maybe Sam Roberts, a ride or die.
Sam Roberts is absolutely you know this to be true. You know this to be true. Sam Roberts is a ride or die. Day one.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time, champ.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Megan. Appreciate you guys.
How about that, Megan? The WWE champion, Sami Zayn. I have a lot I want to talk to you about, but first I do have to mention the Fanatics Games.
Oh, we'll be there.
Are returning. Maybe somebody else gets the opportunity to become a champion. They're returning to Fanatics Fest NYC, and they're bringing together some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment to compete for $2 million in prizes, including a grand prize of $1 million in cold, hard cash. The Fanatics Games lineup is stacked with athletes, legends, and icons, including WWE superstars like John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and competing in the Fanatics Games, Roman Reigns. Now, last year, John Cena was competing in the Fanatics Games. I got a big hug from John Cena.
Oh, don't get your hopes up.
Is there any way that the tribal chief wants to repeat the success of John Cena?
You'll be lucky if you get acknowledged.
I will acknowledge my tribal chief. You can watch everybody compete live at the world's #1 sports fan festival taking place, I can't wait, July 16th through the 19th at the Javits Center in New York City. Tickets are selling fast. Secure yours today before they're gone at fanaticsfest.com. And it really is.
I'm going to have to keep you in line at Fanatics Fest.
Bro, I'm going to be losing my mind.
I know.
I can't believe the tribal chief is going to be a part of Fanatics.
Don't get your
Games.
hopes up. He's not going to run into your arms like John Cena did.
Would you have said that John Cena is going to run into my arms?
No.
So then I'm not going to trust you on this one.
But John Cena's would run into someone's arms. Roman's not running into anybody's arms. Come on.
It's me.
No.
It's me. It's me. We didn't even tell Sami Zayn I'm actually the honorary Uce now.
Because you're not.
That's not true. Jacob said it on his podcast. He said it on the Now. I mean, it is a wild thing.
Sammy's the only honorary Uce that I acknowledge.
It's easy to say that. I mean, look, fine then. You won't say that to Jacob's face.
No, I won't. No.
No. Okay, good. That would be disrespectful to him.
Because he might say, I don't take orders from your punk ass.
He said it again tonight.
I
It was
know.
so good. I mean, what an awesome thing to get to talk to Sami Zayn in this moment.
Unbelievable.
Your point about kind of all those moments in Sami Zayn's career was such a great point. And it really is like to think about the fact that the two title holders, as of now, going into SummerSlam, are Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns.
Dude, it was unbelievable just this weekend scrolling through the internet and reliving all of these Sami Zayn moments that ultimately led to the undisputed WWE Championship.
In one way or another, right?
Yes. You know, whether it be through old pictures. I watched a lot of old Sami Zayn videos.
You did?
Just seeing a lot of former superstars, different people that Sami had worked with or crossed paths with, different people in the industry. You know, sharing their congratulations with Sami Zayn. It was amazing.
I once watched a match of a guy that looked like Sami Zayn, but he was wearing a mask. And the mask took place in a forest in Japan. And it was still awesome. I mean, what this guy has done with this wrestling career is so tremendous. And he's still like going. I mean, you know, I think, you know, there were a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about Sami Zayn. I was annoyed. I was legit annoyed. And probably if you heard my podcast this week, you could tell like I was irritated that like how quickly people are figuring out when Sami Zayn's going to lose the title. It's like, would you let us have this moment?
Just for a little bit.
Like, can
all right?
wrestling fans have one nice thing?
Come
Can we have one nice? We never get anything nice. Can we have one nice thing without going like, okay, let's mark the calendar. Now he's had the title for 24 hours. Let's figure out when he's going to lose it. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, let's just sit in this for a second. If he makes it to SummerSlam, come on, dude, it's 5 weeks away. He's not gonna make it 5. I mean, it was ridiculous.
But this is how wrestling fans operate. You know,
I
if
mean-
Cody would have retained everyone, oh, it's so predictable. I knew that was coming. Blah blah blah.
But it's like
Sami wins, and everybody's trying to figure out when Sami loses.
I feel like and we've lost touch with the fact that this is, I think, a very special moment, and I'm so anxious to see how this story with Sami Zayn plays out. We're kind of in this uncharted waters here with Sami Zayn actually holding that title. I think it's very unique that it happened in this moment where he doesn't have the support of the entire audience. You know, and
he was very open with us about that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how that's impacted him.
But I think that it's you know, it's one thing, you know, when you have these like Cinderella stories and the champion is crowned and that's it. Sometimes the clock strikes midnight real quick after that title win because now it's in reality. Now it's like not, as Sami Zayn put it, the fantasy, but now we're in reality and fans start to lose interest. The fact that there are people that lost this faith and that Sami Zayn told this very different story in the last 2 months as the last real good guy, I think makes this a much more interesting and unique title run that I don't think I would compare with other quote unquote underdogs. You know, I don't think that that's a place that I would go with it. I think we've got something very, very unique here. As to your point, are all these moments that Sami Zayn had, all those moments that you listed are moments that only Sami Zayn could do. There's not one other person that could have been a member of the bloodline.
No.
And gotten in the ring and had us all enjoying the fact that he was breaking them
Yes.
by saying Usi.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody
Like,
could have pulled that off. There was almost nobody who could have actually made us believe in the middle of the strongest the bloodline ever was
right.
that Roman could lose.
A month before WrestleMania.
That Roman could, like, there, everybody in that building, you know, there was an extra something in the air
Oh, yeah.
because we all felt it and we all knew this realistically could be the moment that it all ends for Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And it wasn't. It wasn't the moment for Roman Reigns, but now we look in 2026 and like we were just talking about, Sami Zayn is the undisputed WWE champion and Roman Reigns is the world heavyweight champion. And just as this is a very different Sami Zayn, in my opinion, I think we're looking at a very different Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah.
Some people think it's this. I think it's very
not.
different. I think this bloodline is different. I think the way everything is set up is different. I think the storytelling is very, very different. Watching Roman Reigns walk to the ring tonight was very, very interesting because he walked with that title and he walked with Jacob Fatu by his side. He walked to the ring knowing, and with fans knowing, that as he held that title up in the air, the guy that was threatening him last week, who won the King of the Ring tournament, Obafemi, just had his dance card filled. So what are we going to get with Roman Reigns? And just as Roman Reigns asks that the crowd do him the biggest favor in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and to please acknowledge him,
burn it down.
here comes Seth Rollins. And you go, okay. And you know, this is really the first significant Roman Reigns championship story that we've had outside of the bloodline since his story with CM Punk at WrestleMania.
Yes, that's right. Because immediately after we had Roman and Jacob.
Right. And this
in this, remember the moment shortly after Roman won the title,
Yeah.
it may have been 2 weeks later, the interaction in Gorilla between
just that
Seth,
stare down.
Seth and Roman.
Love the stare downs.
We
love the
talked for like
moments.
30 minutes on this show about that stare down alone.
Just the 1 second. But now it's time to see what that stare down was all about. You know, now it's time to see if the goods are there when it comes to this story. And man, I loved everything about.
Did you have any doubts at all that the goods wouldn't be there?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on what story is being told, because you want to tell a story that's compelling, but you want it to not be the same as what you've seen before. It can't be too filled with sort of historic hate, because we saw that with CM Punk. It can't be too family oriented, because we saw that with Jacob Fatu. So what is it that makes this unique? And I think what it ended up being is Seth Rollins, who has the ability to be as over the top as anybody in the WWE, brought it down to reality, brought it down to the facts and figures and what makes Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns one of the most compelling rivalries that the WWE has ever had, breaking down 14 years of history between the two of them and standing there confidently looking at Roman Reigns, not seeing a guy who it's like, whoa, that's really him. There's a lot of people who I'm sure get into the ring with Roman Reigns and go, whoa, that's Roman Reigns.
But see, Seth is very different because Seth has experienced Roman Reigns since the very beginning.
Seth came up with Roman Reigns.
Seth
brought Roman Reigns up.
And Seth and Roman ushered in this new generation.
But when Seth came in with Roman Reigns, Roman was...
He was not this Roman.
Oh, no, and well, he wasn't this Seth. It was 14 years ago. But it was also a Roman Reigns who didn't have all the experience in the world. And it was Seth Rollins who had gotten his start, who had been a star on the United States independence.
What did Seth say? He said, you owe me and I own you.
He did say that. He said, everything you are, I own you. And I don't know if I agree with all that, because Roman Reigns did a lot to come into his own. There's nothing about Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is in the position that Roman Reigns is in because of Roman Reigns. They are cosmically connected, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Just because you help somebody in the beginning does not mean you are responsible for their success in the end.
That's true.
Just because you open the door for somebody does not mean when they walk in and change the whole room that the things that they did in that room are your changes.
Mm-mm.
All you did was open the door. And that deserves some credit, but not all the credit. Now, Seth did say, listen, here's why you want to listen to me. Because Roman Reigns told Seth, you're at the back of the line, kid. What are
You haven't
talking
done
about?
anything.
And by the
You
way,
haven't done anything since he's come back.
which is false.
He did beat Braun Breaker in the steel cage match.
And he was the last person to hold the world heavyweight title, so it's like, it's there. But
Since he's returned, I mean, losing to Gunther at WrestleMania, tough.
yeah, but he beat Braun Breaker. I mean, it goes away. He beat Braun Breaker in a cage match. He beat Braun Breaker on Raw before that. I mean, I don't think that there's any question as to what Seth's standing is right now. I don't think Roman's correct.
And once Seth got done with the Vision, he said, then my next step is coming for that world heavyweight title that I never lost.
Lose. So I don't think Roman's correct when he said Seth is at the back of the line. But Seth, I mean, boy, I would not want to enter into a negotiation with Seth Rollins. Because the case that Seth Rollins built, WrestleMania 41, WrestleMania 40, he brought it back to WrestleMania 31. And he said those are all WrestleManias that Seth Rollins literally ruined for Roman Reigns. That's 3 WrestleMania main events that Seth Rollins ruined for Roman Reigns. Made 3 of the worst nights of Roman Reigns' professional career. And then he reminded him that after everything you've done, and you're going to get a whole night to the Hall of Fame all to yourself, and maybe I'll be the one that inducts you, he said. And he said, that you've done all there is to do. And it's going to be looked back upon for generations. Your WrestleMania main event, record will never be touched. The 1,316-day reign will never be touched. There's just one thing you haven't done. You haven't beaten me. And in that point, it's like, it's true.
It's mic drop, right?
What else is there to say? You didn't beat me.
No lies detected.
So for Roman Reigns,
I mean, Seth presents this case to Roman that's so compelling. He's putting the tribal chief in a situation where Roman has to step up to the plate.
Well, he told him that as people look back on your career, if you don't beat me, and who knows how many opportunities you're going to get.
This might be our last chance.
We're not spring chickens, he said.
He said, look at what you and I did when we created a new generation. One of the greatest generations that this industry... He said the greatest. The greatest generation that this industry has ever seen. Look at the roster. New generation is up and coming.
It's happening again.
They're here.
He said, Roman, if you don't beat me, you're never going to be able to escape the ghost of Seth Rollins. And Roman Reigns said the same thing. You remember what Jacob Fatu said to Roman Reigns? He said, Roman, I don't want that title. I need that title. Roman Reigns, who told Jacob, I understand you, looked at Seth Rollins and said, I don't want to beat you. I need to beat you. I need my family to see me beat you. I need there to be no doubt in the minds of anybody. And I think that is true. I think that this Roman Reigns needs to show why he's different. He showed why he's different by winning the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania with no interference, no bloodline, by himself. That's different.
And by the way, every single time since he's shown up, ever since winning the title, no help from the family.
He's shown that he's different by the way he's led the bloodline. And now I think he does need to show that he's different by proving that this Roman Reigns can beat Seth Rollins. Because if this Roman Reigns can't beat Seth Rollins, then maybe this Roman Reigns isn't the better Roman Reigns.
Oof.
That's what they're facing. And by the way, if Seth Rollins can't beat Roman Reigns and get the title back, then that's the end of I never lost that title. One of those two things happens. Either Seth Rollins has to stop talking about never losing that title because he got the shot and he lost, or Roman Reigns needs to deal with the fact that this may not be the better version of Roman Reigns. One of those two things happens after this match. That's how big the match is.
This match is absolutely massive. I mean, this is one that we've been talking about for a long time that we've wanted to see given the history between the two of these men. And I think it was established early on in their interaction that there's a lot of love between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. But when you enter into a SummerSlam match between these two guys, you have to leave all those emotions, all of that history behind, because the stakes for both Seth and Roman couldn't be bigger.
And I'm so curious to know if Roman will be able to because he couldn't do it at WrestleMania 40. He couldn't leave it behind. He couldn't. Can he do it at SummerSlam? I don't know. But what I will tell you is that you can celebrate a legacy, right? We're talking about Roman Reigns' legacy, Sami Zayn's legacy. When you talk about anniversaries, it has been 15 years since CM Punk's legendary pipe bomb promo. This was an industry-shifting event, and I say that without hyperbole. It's the 15-year pipe bomb promo, and you can celebrate it with a design honoring one of the most unforgettable moments in pro wrestling history. A tribute to the speech that challenged the status quo and became an enduring symbol of rebellion, authenticity, and speaking your mind. You can get your shirt now at WWE Shop and Fanatics. And of course, like Sami Zayn, driving around that whip with his WWE Championship, you can bring championship gold home with WWE replica title belts from WWE Shop and Fanatics, featuring authentic detailing inspired by the title scene on WWE programming. These premium collectibles let every fan celebrate their favorite superstar and iconic championships in true champion style. I want to know if Io Sky is in trouble, because
You mean the Queen of the Ring, Io Sky?
that's the one. That's the one. The genius of the sky, the queen of the ring, Io Sky. But listen, you know what Megan Morant said when the Judgment Day was walking into the building?
I said, oh, Roxanne Perez does not look happy.
Right. Believe it or not, there was another group that Megan Morant was already going like, oh, I bet there's trouble there. I bet there's trouble.
I was just trying to dissect the body language.
Well, guess what? They work together as a unit. And
Okay.
Guess what happened?
I was just going off of the fact that last week when Roxanne asked Liv Morgan, what about me? When they talked about how Liv was going to become a double champion, how Raquel was going to go for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, how Dominic was going to get his title back. Everybody's going for gold in the Judgment Day. Roxanne speaks up and says, what about me? And all of a sudden, Liv Morgan has to rush off and go help JD McDonough.
She had to rush off and help
So
JD McDonough.
immediately when they arrive, I love those arrival shots because it really gives us the opportunity to dissect the body language. You know, how does the Judgment Day appear when they're arriving in Atlantic City? And to me, Roxanne Perez, she looked a little irritated.
That's funny because she wasn't acting irritated at all. And she helped Liv Morgan. And not only did they leave Io Sky on her back.
I did find it a little interesting, though, because before she helped Liv Morgan out there with Io Sky,
Right.
Raquel was talking about how she had a big match with Maxine Dupree in
Right.
order to qualify her for an Intercontinental Championship opportunity. Roxanne Perez, she's dealing with her own issues, and Liv is like, none of this matters. We got to talk about me because I might be in trouble. So I just, she's dismissing.
Well, you're being negative.
I'm just
Because
pointing something
you're
out.
pointing this stuff out. The results are what speaks.
I'm just pointing it out.
You can point it out all you want, because what happened was Io Sky ended up on her back due to the Judgment Day working together.
After Liv was very disrespectful
To who?
to Io.
Yes, they're going to fight.
Very
That's what happens.
disrespectful to
Yeah,
her.
that's what happens. Sometimes people fight.
She
They
said,
fight each
"I
other. They're
don't-"
not respectful to each other.
She said, I don't respect you, Io Sky, because you're acting like you beat me fair and square. And the only reason that you beat me is because stupid Danhausen put a curse on me. That's what Liv said.
Well, I'd be mad too. I'd be mad if Danhausen put a curse on me. And he did put a curse on me. I was furious with him. You ever see that video?
I've seen it many times.
Yeah,
You
what do you mean
deserved
many
it.
times?
Well, Becky's in it, so many times.
You watched that many times.
Many.
That's
yeah,
a bad thing that happened to me. I
watching
didn't.
get
You
cursed.
loved that.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I like that. You deserved it.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
You're not a great friend, you know?
Okay. Then I guess I'm not a good friend.
You're fine with
okay?
that.
Yeah, I mean, you
That's
love
shocking.
to throw me under the bus.
No, I don't.
Any chance you can.
No, that's not true.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Right now with Roxanne Perez and calling me a hater.
You're not a hater.
Thank you.
No. I'm asking. There was
Me?
a question mark.
Oh, there was a
there.
question. I
Did
thought
you
you
watch
were-
Great American Bash?
Yes, of course.
Did you see the end?
Yes,
Do you see Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray in the ring together?
I did.
What was going through your head?
I was like, oh, it's going to be so good.
What were you thinking? I'm just asking. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm just asking a simple question. What were you thinking at the end of that show when Ren Sinclair got in the ring with Kendall Gray?
I said, I can't wait for these two to hate each other.
Am I taking
really
crazy
can't
pills
wait.
here?
I really can't wait. Sorry, I love a good rivalry, you know?
More than a friendship. You love a heated rivalry.
The friendship, the initial friendship is what makes the rivalry so
You like
wonderful.
friendships because they're a device to get to a rivalry.
Yeah,
I see.
in pro wrestling.
And
In pro wrestling. Just
And?
in pro wrestling.
a little real life?
Maybe. You know, maybe just a dash. As long as it doesn't involve me.
Right.
As long as it doesn't involve me, I'm fine with it.
You like to observe, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
So, like if a friend goes, oh, this is my new best friend from work, you're like, okay.
Let's watch this one unfold.
Oh, you're a demon is what you are.
But for Liv to like look Io Sky in the eyes and say, I don't respect you anymore and now you've pissed me off.
But this is the game Liv Morgan plays. This is why Liv Morgan is so good.
And then she brings up, hey, look what I did to Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Look what I did to Stephanie Valkyra. Have you seen her since WrestleMania? Oh, and by the way, Rhea Ripley, I took everything from Rhea and she's never been the same.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, are you shocked that Liv Morgan is not going like, well, gee golly, I know you're a heck of a competitor. This is not Bob Backlund. This is Liv Morgan. She's not saying, well, I know it's going to be a tough challenge in front of me, but boy, oh boy, I think I've got what it takes to get the job done. That's not Liv Morgan. She literally was like, you know what I should do to Rhea Ripley? Before I beat her, I should ruin her life.
Well, Liv is blaming a curse for her losing.
So did Cleveland. So did Wemby. So did a lot of people.
She can't even tip her cap to Io Sky, one of the best wrestlers on the planet.
Why would she?
And
When has
admit
Liv
that-
Morgan tipped her cap to anybody? When has it ever happened?
Never.
If
Never.
you were Liv, would you tip your cap? Be honest.
No.
Oh, I can't imagine. If you were Liv, you'd be a monster. You'd be an absolute
Morgan is
monster.
a monster.
That's a good point.
Especially now that she has this half crab submission. Woo!
She's incredible.
It's a whole nother element.
And by the way, to your haterdom, where you're like, oh, and what happened with Raquel? She Tahana bombed her way to a shot at the Intercontinental Championship.
She took care of business.
You don't live in a world where all's well that ends well. You live in a world where sometimes it ends well, but I wish it didn't. That's you.
It's not true.
That's-
Hey,
that's
listen,
you.
We'll see. I just noticed that during the Judgment Day's arrival shot, which you can go back and watch,
They looked
Roxanne
fine.
looked a little
They looked fine.
not so great.
And Dom and JD have something to worry about. But real
They have
quick,
a
I
lot
want to
to
tell
worry
you that
about.
Tops Now. You heard about Tops Now? Tops Now has immortalized unforgettable moments from this weekend's Night of Champions, from Obafemi and Io Sky's King and Queen of the Ring victories to Sami Zayn's shocking upset win to capture the undisputed WWE Championship. Collectors who purchase the base version of these cards have a chance at receiving serial numbered parallels and even autographs from these WWE superstars. Look at that one, the Sami Zayn card, where he inscribed, proved them all wrong. One person who orders this Tops Now card is going to get that signed Sami Zayn card. I hope it's me. I'm going to order a bunch of them. These exclusive trading cards are available for just 72 hours. So make sure to head to Topps.com to secure your piece of WWE history. Now, in terms of JD, who heroically wrestled this match after a terrible electric accident occurred around him previously on Monday Night Raw, he still managed to get in there with Olympian Chad Gable and fight his hardest. I mean, look, even you, who is a confirmed hater, have to admit that Spanish fly that JD hit was unbelievable.
It really was.
Okay.
I mean, JD does insane things with his body all of the time in the ring.
Yes.
But then when you factor in the fact that he had an electrical incident,
Yes. That's what he prefers to call it.
even more insane. I didn't think it was great that they, Corey Graves, right? Yeah, Corey Graves was calling him top heavy. It's like,
Well, I mean,
talk about his big head.
I thought he was talking about like he had put on some muscle mass in his chest,
I think
maybe.
he was talking about his big head.
Oh man, not the shoulders.
I don't think so.
That's tough for Graves. That's a tough one. But yeah, having the exploding briefcase, which he had previously used on the Miz and Kit Wilson. Seeing Dominic, unfortunately, and JD fall for that exploding briefcase. For Danhausen to try to steal his Knicks jersey back. And I would have thought Dominic would have seen this coming a mile away.
Come on, he's
not.
usually the one who's 4 steps ahead, right?
He is, but I mean, when you put all that money in front of anybody, they're going to make wonky decisions. However, how about Raquel just coming in a show of absolute force and going like, no, that's our jersey. Thank you very
And then
much.
Dominic wiping his sweat all over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people would make it feel like that would make it more valuable. Some people, not me. Some people.
I think you're speaking for yourself there.
No. No,
So
I was just saying that.
I mean, this was a collector's item gifted to Danhausen for helping the Knicks win the NBA
Not even a
championship.
collector's item. It's
One of one.
It's a one of one that the Knicks made just for Danhausen. Do you think fighting Danhausen at this point is a sensible act of war, or is this one of those things where you just kind of wave the white flag and go, you know what, Danhausen, I don't want to mess with any of this dark magic?
If I think the latter
Yeah,
is the approach that I would take,
probably right.
because they trashed Danhausen's laboratory.
Not smart.
And then what happens just a couple hours later? All of a sudden, the briefcase explodes in Dominic's face.
Right.
Danhausen, he's got curses,
And tricks.
tricks,
Yeah.
and these curses and tricks are very, very effective.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if any one of them find a monkey's paw that promises to grant wishes, leave that alone. Leave it alone.
And Danhausen seems like the type of guy, if you don't get in his way, you're good. We're good.
Not really,
You
because I didn't get
his
in.
way.
I didn't
No,
get
you
in.
did. You got into his way
How?
because you didn't have human monies. You tried to give him a credit card, and then he cursed you.
I know, but I mean, he can't just approach me asking for money and I don't have any cash on me. Now I'm in his way. That's not fair.
You see him coming, you got to go the other way because he might ask you for money and you don't
You
have
got
money.
the other way towards an ATM.
That's right. That's where Danhausen's coming towards me. I better make sure I have human monies. Otherwise, I'm going to be cursed.
It's a great point, man.
You have to start thinking about these
I got to
things.
start carrying cash.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to be around Danhausen.
But I don't even know where he's going to show up. Sometimes that crate just opens. There's Danhausen. I mean, he's brought that laboratory from Atlantic City to Riyadh to London.
And he's very
to-
busy in there.
I know.
Maybe
still
the
don't know-
Judgment Day wouldn't be having these Danhausen problems if they would have just left Danhausen alone in his laboratory. But Liv going in there asking for favors, getting cursed.
Not
JD
good.
and Dom going in there asking for more curses, making demands.
Well, they want the 100,000 back. Good luck with that.
I don't
It's
think
spent.
no
It's gone. St. J.G. Wentworth. You know what I mean? It's not your money anymore.
JG went.
That's right. That's right. Listen, the SummerSlam card is shaping up.
Sure is. 4
And
weeks.
I can't wait to see. Well, it'll be 4 weeks from Saturday, so 4.5 or so. I can't wait to see how this card pans out. We're going to keep following it. We're going to be right back here next week after Monday Night Raw to break down everything that goes down. Make sure you join us, subscribe across all audio platforms, like and comment on YouTube. We will see you then.